Canada just recognized the state of Palestine. Correction. Canada did not recognize anything. Mark Carney recognized the state of Palestine. He actually went against his own words just 30 days ago. He didn't go through Parliament. He didn't go through any democratic discussion. He is the king of Canada and decides whatever he wants to do. It's actually unbelievable. We're going to get into it in this report. I also have, if you're Indigenous in Canada, you get a reduced prison sentence for the most horrific crime imaginable. And we're going to end this report with Charlie Kirk's memorial. Erica Kirk shocked the world with the most touching, heartfelt move I've ever seen. It's going to move a nation. What she did was incredible. Let's get into this report. Mark Carney says Canada recognizes Palestine. That's false. No one voted for this. There was no debate. There's no mandate. In fact, Parliament already voted last year, and inside that vote, which was 217 to 104, they said that there's no state of Palestine unless the hostages are free. Ban Hamas altogether, demilitarize the whole thing, democratize, and that was voted on. So he went past the vote. What's unbelievable about this whole thing is he does it on a Sunday during Charlie Kirk's memorial, and he does it on his X account and publish it around the world. And look, he signs it like an executive order. He literally is acting like Donald Trump. He comes out and says, here's my executive order. Canada recognizes the state of Palestine. And he's signing the document. And here's the thing. Mark Carney promised a month ago he would not do this. Let's take a look at that.
For the reasons I cited earlier, Canada intends to recognize the state of Palestine at the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly in September 2025. This intention is predicated on the Palestinian Authority's commitment to much-needed reforms, including commitments by the Palestinian Authority's President Abbas to fundamentally reform its governance, to hold general elections in 2026 in which Hamas can play no part, and to demilitarize the Palestinian state. Canada will increase its efforts in supporting strong democratic governance in Palestine and the contributions of its people to a more peaceful and hopeful future. I spoke today with President Abbas at length to reaffirm his commitment. Canada reiterates that Hamas must immediately release all hostages taken in the horrific terrorist attack of October 7th, that Hamas must disarm, and that Hamas must play no role in the future governance of Palestine.
This was from August 1st. He said no recognition of Palestine unless Hamas releases all hostages. Hamas disarms. Hamas plays zero role in governance. And today he recognizes Palestine anyway. So he lied again. Who is sick of Mark Carney lying? So guess who comes and chimes in? Hamas welcomes recognition. Are you kidding? Senior Hamas official Mardawi welcomes the decision by Canada. He's saying thank you to Canada. He's done none of the prerequisites whatsoever, and we just gave him everything. So I really like this post. A Canadian senator from Saskatchewan, proud conservative. She writes, today, the Liberal Party recognizes the state of Palestine. Yeah, because Canadians don't recognize this. This is Mark Carney going around Parliament and making a decision on his own. And is this going to benefit us? Because I have more information for you. Check out 250,000 impressions from this because people are furious out there. As the buck you will, Canadians do not support this, but Hamas does. Over the weekend, yeah, they went and they spray painted all of the streets in front of the Parliament building. And guess what? We are going to have to pay for this. The protests have destroyed the street. These are people power washing. Hopefully they can clean it up. Melissa Lantsman is it bang on in this video.
The Liberals in Canada officially recognized Palestinian statehood, ending over 75 years of established diplomatic convention with a single stroke of a pen. While people who wave terrorist flags and chant genocidal chants in our streets are surely celebrating right now, nobody else is celebrating. Not one bit. And let me tell you why. Almost 2 years ago, hundreds of innocent civilians, including Canadian citizens, were murdered, maimed, raped, and taken hostage by Hamas, a terrorist group in the deadliest day for the Jews since the end of the Holocaust. We know that some of these civilians remain in captivity today, left to pray for their rescue while they are subjected to starvation and torture, confinement on a daily basis. We hope that they will come home as soon as possible. And we know that others who were taken hostage will never come home, and they never came home because their lives were stolen during the imprisonment, and that Hamas refuses to return those bodies too. This is warfare of the most inhumane kind, perpetrated by the people our own government recognizes as enemies. Today, that government just gave those enemies the biggest gift that they could ever ask for. You see, there's a reason our country had a long-standing tradition to never negotiating with terrorists. It's because it encourages the very terrorist activities we should be opposing as a country. Already, Hamas is telling the world that this recognition of statehood is a vindication of what they did on October 7th, and that we should expect to see even more days like October 7th moving forward. Because of this decision by this Prime Minister and this government, our world is more unsafe, our country is less respected by our allies, and once again, a small but vocal minority here at home notches another win on behalf of the terrorists and the Jew haters. You already know that I'm going to hold the Prime Minister responsible alongside a strong, dedicated Conservative caucus. But history is also going to hold them accountable. It's going to show that when the chips were down and things got tough, the Prime Minister took the easy way out instead of standing with our allies. This is a betrayal of the hostages who remain in Gaza, the Canadian citizens who were killed on October 7th, and our basic Western values of freedom, justice, and the rule of law. We must choose courage over convenience, and I hope that someday we will have a Prime Minister who understands that. Today, we have a Prime Minister who chooses to reward terror, and we will never forget that.
Unbelievable. And she's bang on this. Not only that, and she didn't mention this, our trade deal with the United States. Did the United States come out and support statehood for Hamas? No. Let's take a look at what that might do to our trade negotiation. The United States just initiated the renegotiation of the USMCA starting in November. It's expiring in June. So we're going to be working to get a new deal. And this. Wow, Canada just announced that it's backing statehood for Palestine. That will make it very hard for us to make a trade deal with them. Oh, Canada. And so what was this announcement benefiting? Who is this actually benefiting? It's not benefiting our trade negotiations with Donald Trump. It's almost as if Mark Carney does not want a trade deal with the United States. What's scary, 76% of all the trade that we do around the world is only with one customer, the United States. You would think that you would be phoning, you would be showing up in the White House, you would do anything for us Canadians, save us, go to the US, get us a trade deal. No, instead we get statehood for Hamas. Oh, Canada. This liberal government's so bad. And Doug Ford is a liberal as well. Who remembers Doug Ford basically bashing on nonstop Mexico? We're not Mexico.
I want to emphasize, to compare us to Mexico is the most insulting thing I've ever heard from our friends and closest allies, the United States of America.
Yeah, and how do you think Mexico feels when Doug Ford announces that? This was only 10 months ago.
You know, you look at Mexico, they're importing cheap products, undercutting our hardworking men and women, not only here, but in the U.S. from China. They're slapping a Made in Mexico sticker on and shipping it up and taking our hardworking men and women jobs away from them. Unacceptable.
And just so people know, just 10 months ago, we wanted to kick Mexico out of the USMCA. That's no joke. And now that things are falling apart with the United States, and I wonder why. It's like one thing after another with this guy. We're trying to save our relationship with Mexico after bashing them nonstop. And I bet you a lot of you out there think, yeah, we could do more with Mexico because Mexico's in North America. But I want to show you some stats. How much trade do we actually do with Mexico? Exports is on the left. We do 1%. Out of all the trade that we do around the world, we only do 1% with Mexico. If you look at imports, we import 6.56%. So we are hemorrhaging out with Mexico. It's totally unfair. We're importing tons. We're bringing our fruit, our vegetables from Mexico, and we're really not selling Mexico anything. Nothing. So that's why Mark Carney had to make up something. And let's take a look at what he made up. Oh, and by the way, 78% of all our exports goes to the United States. That is the only customer we need to be focusing on. All the rest are insignificant. As the food professor posts here, we do not ship wheat in bags to Mexico. Photo ops need to stop, and the media should start calling them out for what they are. Empty stunts, and make them look absolutely foolish. Take a look at this bag. It looks like a sandbag with a sticker on it saying Canadian wheat. These liberals are doing photo ops trying to trick us all, saying we're going to be selling Canadian wheat. We're going to be selling so much to Mexico. Even if we went from what, 1% exports to Mexico, what, to 2%? Do you think that's going to save us jobs? No, but I got more about the meeting in Mexico. And you didn't see any of this on CBC with their fake wheat bags. Yeah, holy cow. Mexico wants more temporary foreign worker permits from Canada. They know this is a huge cash cow for them, and Mark Carney's going to give it to them in exchange for a meaningless strategic partnership. Right here, the main talking points from the Mexican president, Claudia, was short-term work visas. You can't make any of this stuff up, Canada. Mark Carney is faking everything. This is him in a fake house, this fake construction when he did his announcement for Build Canada Homes. And here we have the construction workers inside this fake building. This building disappeared 24 hours after the press conference. They're really good at faking props, but they're not good at actually delivering and building anything. And here's a cartoon that's mocking Canada's housing strategy, basically turning into reality. This is the cartoon, and this is their photo op. Here we have the absolute worst housing minister, the worst immigration minister in Canadian history, and now Sean Fraser is the Justice Minister Attorney General of Canada. The government is now tabling a new hatred-related offenses bill. What is ironic and absolutely hilarious is Mark Carney ran a campaign on hate. Hating the Americans with the elbows up. We are going to elbow all the Americans in the face. No matter what, we're elbowing. Think about this. If there's a Canadian American and you said elbows up, this new law that they're going to be passing, that's 2 years in jail. So I guess all the liberals are going to be going to jail after they roll this thing out.
We also have realized through many conversations with those impacted by hate crimes in Canada that hate is not limited to the doorsteps of our religious institutions, but is prevalent throughout the entirety of our communities. We see it in our streets, we see it in our parks, we see it in our grocery stores. Frankly, we see it almost everywhere. In addition to the campaign commitments around the crimes of obstruction or intimidation, we are moving forward with establishing a new crime of hate. This will operate by layering on top of existing criminal offenses with a new offense that will specifically target hate where that crime was committed because of their motivation of hatred towards the victim. You can imagine that it may be more morally culpable for a person who assaults another, not just because of a personal problem they may have, but because of their belonging to a community. If a person robs a store because the owner comes from a particular group, or if a person commits harassment against someone who is seeking to attend university classes merely because they belong to a particular community of faith or race.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. So in the last 6 months, they've been running a campaign on hating the Americans. It's still ongoing. Please roll this new bill out, and we're going to have to start putting some of these elbows up people in prison. You actually don't believe me when I say this. This is the actual bill, how it's written. The Act of Parliament, if commissioned, will include offenses is motivated by hatred based on race, national, or ethnic origin. So you come from the United States? We don't like the United States. Elbows up. Oh, there you go. That's 2 years for you. Language, color, religion, sex, age, mental, physical disability. This new bill is up to 2 years for elbows up or harassing an American. Good job, liberals. And if you're wondering why crime has exploded across the country, it's because of this chart. This is the net international migration from 1952 to 2025. As you can see, it straight up skyrocketed to the moon like a rocket ship. And the reason is all these brand new Canadians, people that came to Canada, has not assimilated to our social structure and network. They brought their own cultures. They brought their own problems. They brought their own flags. They're constantly on the streets protesting, and that's why we're seeing a rise and requiring the liberals to create this new bill to deal with it. Instead of actually doing no more catch and release and actually shutting the doors so that we don't have an explosion, because we're not building housing fast enough for all of these people. It's crumbling the fabric of our society, including healthcare, roads, infrastructure, you name it. All of Canada's problems is because the liberals did this. And for all the people that say US is so dangerous, I don't want to go over. They have the Second Amendment. It's so dangerous. If we actually look at comparison between the two countries, Canada in 2023, 1,427 violent crimes per 100,000. In the US, it's 380 per 100,000. You can't even make this stuff up. So that's basically 3 times worse in Canada. And if we look at historical from 2002 to 2023, in 2015, that's where that line is. Check out the trend. It literally exploded up, and then they're like, oh, we should start going after firearms. Bill C-71, prohibit 1,500 models, and we're going to give the rifles to Ukraine. What has that really actually done to the levels of occurrences across this country? It's done absolutely nothing. It all stems from what I just showed you. And here's another reason why there's issues across this country. It's because of stuff like this. This man in Calgary did RAP a 12-year-old and gets a reduced sentence because he's Indigenous. Let's take a look at the details. And here's the story. In today's episode of Canada's Justice System is a Joke. Kirk Lubanoff on X, an Indigenous man, does an RAP'd a 12-year-old child. And not only that, I can't read the rest of that sentence, but assaulted her repeatedly, then threatened to end the child's mother and cat. And for all that, he gets a slap on the wrist and a prison discount because he's Indigenous. Welcome to Canada. So we have laws in Canada, but they're not actually enforced, and they need to remove this catch and release thing. If they wanted to fix the problem, they would have tackled the issues that they created instead of creating new laws. And who's going to enforce these new laws? Is it going to be the liberals? That's the issue. We're going to finish today's episode with something positive. Erica Kirk just showed that evil feeds on rage, revenge, and hate. The light lives on forgiveness, strength, and truth. When you forgive, it's not because the person deserves it. It's because you refuse to carry their poison. You strip away its power. Let's take a look at this powerful message to the world. We all need to start forgiving.
Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do. That man, that young man, I forgive him. I forgive him because it was what Christ did and is what Charlie would do. The answer to hate is not hate. The answer we know from the gospel is love, and always love. Love for our enemies and love for those who persecute us.
Wow, how powerful is that? I mean, it's so powerful and strong. You need to love each other. We need to spread love and shadow out all the darkness. Easier said than done, I'll tell you. Just thinking about this guy that did this to Charlie, it just rips me apart inside. But to see Charlie's wife come out and give forgiveness, that is a teaching that we can all take amongst each other. Let's forgive ourselves and forgive others. That's it for today's report. I tried to make a video last night, but I am actually fighting a cold. And today I'm still feeling like terrible, but I'm like, no, I gotta make a video for all of you. I'm happy I did because there's so much news that needs to be put out there. So I'm happy to deliver for all of you. Hopefully I'm feeling better tomorrow. I will see you on the next report.